Among other things, they torture and murder and jail their practitioners.
And then sell the organs to people, the highest bidder thing.
And nothing new, because they've been doing it to Christians, and they've been doing it to many other people.
Well, the Falun Gong, from what I understand, have a very healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
And they, you get a healthy liver from when we offer Falun Gong guys.
That's right. So anyway, I was invited to be one of the speakers at their Human Rights Torch, which is protesting the Olympics in Communist China. That will be this summer. And I mentioned the fact that a lot of these folks didn't really know too much about the John Birch Society, and I mentioned that John Birch was one of the earliest victims, or earlier victims, of Communist China. And so I was able to introduce John Birch to a larger audience, So.
In regards to China and stuff, many of us, we probably don't realize that a lot of what we consider adversaries, or a lot of tyrannical governments, have been funded by, let's say, elitist, wealthy banker organizations here in the United States, let alone around the globe. That a lot of times, this Mao Zedong didn't do it on his own. It takes some gold, it takes some money, and all this organization. But where I was going is, my viewers, they consider China right now, because probably all their stuff in that big screen TV that if we're lucky enough to be on it, they're watching it. The vision and the idea of China, I got to help my viewers, and that is, when I walk and I meet people and I say, well, what comes to mind when you think of Tiananmen Square? And most of my viewers, most of the people I know, say that brave young student who stood in front of a tank. And that's the image that, when I say sold to us, our media put that image before us and said, here's a government that won't run over students. Because the tank driver stopped, and the tank went to the left, and he went to the and that's the image that we were sold, where they're going to have these Olympics, this China thing. And not that I'm a China basher, I'm a China government basher, but why I'm saying this is, my viewers don't realize that like 10,000 students were mowed down. How'd you like to go to BC and kill 10,000 students, all right, and run them over with those tanks? That wasn't the image shown to us. I'm sorry for getting it. See, once again, I get passionate about
we had
things.
an incident in Kent State back in the 60s, early 70s, where the students were National Guardsmen, and scared National Guardsmen, unfortunately, fired a few shots. There was some speculation that they were fired at first, whatever, and I think a handful were killed, which is a tragedy.
Right.
And Neil Young sings about it, and we still hear the song. But when it comes to Tiananmen Square, it's forgotten about.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
10,000 people killed, and he's not singing about Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, and once again, when we funded with our tax dollars the building of factories in China. I mean, I remember
What's worse is the
technology.
The technology they used, probably to track the dissidents, came from U.S. companies.
Well, that's like IBM with the Holocaust, where it was the IBM computing and the IBM cards, where they knew, hey, bring the train to this town, and we've already know the people to go get. We know their age, we know their religion, and once again, here's IBM making money throughout the entire Second World War in Germany. Yet today, Big Blue, without reproach, like China today, we got to kiss their derrieres.
Right.
We forget how many Chinese generals slept in that Clinton White House. We forget giving them the ring laser gyro. We forget, gee, they wouldn't have a manned space program without the technology that but where I am getting thing about China is that, once again, here's our media telling us that, well, China's so good, we should have them build all our widgets.
It's not so much the problem, because we can talk about the problem or problems endlessly. I mean, start with whatever issue: education, the military, economics, the social issues, which I think these are all social issues, by the way. In my
I bring
opinion.
it down to monetary a lot. I look at the monetary people and I see them steering a lot of things.
But the question is, what to do about it?
There you
what
go.
Can
Good.
And first off, you have to get over this right-wing, left-wing, stage managed thing here.
Republican, Democrat, red, blue.
It's amazing to me that people still think there's a big difference when it comes to the presidential elections. People get caught up in Democrats, Republicans, defending the Democrat, defending the Republican. What's wrong with you? How old are you? You're 50 years old and you still think that there's a real big difference?
I hear you.
You actually think the best two Democrats in the whole country are the ones you're going to choose? The next few months?
Well, not just that. They're the ones who are going to be brought up in front of you to, selection, not election?
And the only viable Republican today is John McCain.
I know.
These are the only three people that are fit. They are the best qualified. Come on.
I'm with you.
So this is what we're spoon-fed. But not only that, the American people a lot of them think that the president is the most powerful man in the so-called free world. Well, I got a copy of the Constitution that has his job description in Article 2. Very limited. He's supposed to be the least powerful person in the federal government. He's only got about 6 or 7 duties. Congress is the most powerful branch because they make all the laws.
Right, they legislate.
Now, they control the purse strings. They're the ones that they declare war. Gee, what's that? You know, we've never done that since the day after Pearl Harbor or so. Congress is the most powerful branch, yet if you ask the average person, who's your congressman or woman, they probably wouldn't know. And if they did know, they probably wouldn't know much about that person, except maybe they voted the right way on this issue or the wrong way on that issue. But other than that, they know nothing. Well, that's almost, is it deliberate? That's the people's branch. That was designed by our founders to say, look, we're giving you, the senators were chosen by the state assemblies in those days.
Right, that's, yeah.
The president was never supposed to be a popularity contest. He was chosen by electors from the states that were, you know, it was an interesting process, would probably take too long to discuss here. But the president was supposed to be the man of the people. It was the congressmen, members of the House of Representatives. And we forgot that. I mean, they're taking it for granted. And every 4 years we go through this this charade.
This wonderful
and
show,
maybe
entertainment.
it really is. It's become that. It's interesting to talk about. Hillary said this, McCain said that. Oh, McCain, did he have a mistress? Is Hillary really under fire? Obama's pastor said all these things, and on it goes. And we all get caught up in this debate. We forget where the action really should be is in Congress. And each congressional district has about 650,000 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that number, half of those are eligible to vote. And out of that number, half of those are registered to vote. So now we're down to about...
Right, and how many actually vote?
So now we're down to about, 50 or 60,000 people that may actually vote if it's not raining too hard, or if there isn't a nice football game
whatever,
on TV, or some excuse to keep them from driving to the poll a half a mile away. Out of that figure, maybe 5,000 make the difference in an election, maybe 1,000. In some cases, 2, like in Connecticut back in, I think it was 94, 2 voters, a congressman was re-elected by 2 votes. So our goal in the John Birch Society, first off, is to create informed voters, or informed people in general. Usually if you're informed about things, you're sort of motivated to hopefully get involved to some extent. And we want to teach, we want to help them learn about our marvelous Constitution. And when you do that, it's almost like a person who works for the Treasury Department. They don't have to look at every type of counterfeit. They look at the real one. And by knowing what the real dollar bill, or the real, well, we call it dollar bills, but that's what a real Federal Reserve note is supposed to look like. Yeah, we know that this is a genuine phony, right? So the homemade stuff, they know automatically that it's wrong. So you know when a man or a woman is articulating spending taxpayers' money for this issue or that issue, it's unconstitutional, and that person doesn't deserve our support, and we need to let the voters know that this person is doing this wrong. And when enough people in a district understand how the government is supposed to work, one of 2 things happens. Either the person who represents them does the right thing, votes the way they're supposed to vote, or the voters kick them out of office and hire somebody else through an election. Now, there are some districts that it's probably, outside of a miracle, you're never going to have any results. And I would think that this probably district here is one of them. You've got a very hardcore...
I think it's interesting when you say hardcore, because here Sharon's probably a Democratic town, right? Once again, they think there's a difference. They think, oh, Republican, Democrat. I did a show for the folks on Ron Paul because I thought he was the best candidate, not because I thought the Republican Party's the best party.
Right, exactly.
Matter of fact, I like independents and I like independent thinkers more than I like anybody who says, well, I'm under the wing or the umbrella of some large organization.
Our state constitution, which predates the U.S. Constitution by probably about 7 or 8 years, it talks about the type of people we should look for as voters. It said morality, piety, and virtue. These are the, and I'm sort of paraphrasing it, are the attributes of a member of the great and general court. And if you don't have these types of people, you can expect the wrong things to happen.
Yeah.
And we forget that. We look at a person, we like this person on the issue. We don't care what Bill Clinton does behind closed doors. We don't, as long as he votes for us this way.
He'll cheat on his wife, but he won't cheat on the country.
That's right. Yeah.
You know?
Well, I always look at it this way. If you can't take your marriage vows seriously, you can't take your oath of office seriously.